These are the new Xreal One S, lightweight AR display glasses built for work, play, and full screen focus. Now they're not quite fully immersive, but they definitely differentiate themselves from the pack with real-time 3D spatialization, auto-tinting lenses, and a few software tricks that make them a real treat to wear. I'm Jason Howell, and Xreal sent these to me for review. They get no say in the editorial content of this video. Also, if you find yourself itching to pick up a pair, make sure to check the description and the comments down below for my special link. That helps support this channel at no extra cost to you when you buy a pair, and thank you so much for that support. Now, if you've seen my reviews of the RayNeo Air 3S Pro that I have here, also the Air 3S, and also my recent first look at the Xreal Aura prototype, the Xreal One S really lands in a sweet spot between the two of those. The RayNeo glasses were solid, but they really had no spatial features, at least not out of the box. No dimming also, and very limited control. Project Aura goes all in on XR with full hand controls and dynamic AR hooks, but that brings extra complexity and, very likely, higher cost. So where does the One S fit in if it skips controls entirely but adds anchor mode, pinning, and auto dimming? The reality is that the Xreal One S keeps the display-first simplicity of the RayNeos, but adds just enough spatial polish to start feeling immersive without chasing full XR. When it comes to design, looks matter for these types of wearables. Glasses like these can look, well, kind of dorky on the face, let's be honest. But when it comes to wearable tech, comfort and practicality often win out. So how do the One S glasses actually feel day to day? I found that they stay put without pinching or slipping during long use. They're very comfortable. They're also discreet enough for mixed environments. And the build quality, definitely polished, though does have a bit of a plasticky look to it. I very much like the flexible ear hooks on the back. I think that makes it very comfortable over long wears. And in general, they're just really lightweight. They stay in place easily at 82 grams. The cobalt finish might not win any design awards, let's say, but the glasses are a bit closer to normal than others that I've used. The display really is what sells the Xreal One S, and thankfully, nearly every meaningful spec is an upgrade from the previous Xreal One, even if some of those upgrades are pretty modest. You get 1200p resolution up from 1080p, 700 nits of brightness up from 600 nits, 108% sRGB, that's up from 100%, so a little bump, 52 degrees field of view up from 50 degrees, and 16:10 aspect ratio compared to the previous 16:9. Overall, the One S really feels like a screen replacement with some meaningful upgrades. When using the Xreal One S, there are a couple of display modes. There's follow mode and anchor mode, and both of those modes set these glasses apart and really change how you use them. Follow mode keeps the display ahead of you wherever you happen to look, but it does this in a very graceful way that actually smooths out natural head jitter, which makes for a much more relaxed viewing experience. Anchor mode pins the display into a single spot inside of the field of view, as if that display were positioned there in real life, and that's because of the native 3 degrees of freedom tracking that's powered by Xreal's in-house X1 spatial computing chip. This actually brings the glasses one step closer to more advanced XR experiences. Now, neither adds complexity either. Very easy to switch with the tap of the red button underneath the right arm, and the 3 milliseconds latency is low enough to avoid lag or drift during those sessions. Lighting changes are one of those things that you only notice when they're annoying. So how do the Xreal One S smart glasses handle real-world lighting shifts? Well, the outer lens automatically transitions between brighter and darker views, and that's all adjustable inside of the settings. That's electrochromic dimming in effect, and it's very noticeable and very welcome. The tint clears when you look down and redims when you look up, which means no more glasses fidgeting when you're doing laptop work or looking at your smartphone. It does it automatically. It's really cool. Overall, it's a seamless transition that effectively improves focus and comfort. Definitely not a gimmick and definitely worth checking out. Also adjustable in settings is the screen size and then the perceptible distance from the display. At its closest point, I was reminded of what it might be like sitting in the front row of an IMAX movie, if that gives you any idea. And it's adjustable to as large as 500 inches inside the virtual screen. That makes the immersive quality that much more tailored to your personal taste. Now, real quick, one of the key features is coming up, but before we talk about the auto spatialization feature, which is really cool, if you're enjoying this review, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more like it. I have a ton of wearable tech right now in the pipeline, and it's coming soon. All right, let's talk about real-time 2D to 3D conversion, which is a real marquee feature on these glasses, and it sounds futuristic, but does it work well enough to matter? Well, the truth is, I got to experience something similar to this on the Galaxy XR a few months back when Google invited me out to take a look at the new feature, and it was incredible. Now, on the Xreal One S, I'd say yes, the Real 3D, which is the feature, works. It's powered by the Xreal X1 chip inside, so it doesn't require special apps, no DRM, or any extra software to work. It's just embedded inside the glasses. And it mostly does the trick, but it's not bulletproof. The effect works across all content, which is great, but it can be a little bit inconsistent at times. Sometimes hair throws it off and you see weirdness around the edges. Sometimes people are set to background instead of foreground, or they might flash between the two. Sometimes edges are just kind of fuzzy, but when it hits, it genuinely adds some significant depth. And it's a really neat effect that I'm guessing has a good chance of improvement with future software updates. I hope they do that. Do note that I had to upgrade the firmware. So when you get these glasses, you'll need to do that too. Head to xreal.com/OTA. Now, as for audio, you're gonna get 4 total speakers on these glasses, 2 firing up and 2 firing down. They're built-in Bose tuned speakers, and they're very convenient to have. Rarely would I say do they deliver what I would call a full spectrum sound. In general, they're loud and clear enough for solo use if you're in a pretty quiet room, but they do leak sound at higher volumes, and that's gonna matter if you're in public settings. Not to mention they lack full frequency definition. There's only so much you can do with these small speakers, right? Even though they're Bose branded, which I give them credit for. Yes, they sound fine. Things are clear, things are pretty crisp, but bass, as you can imagine, is pretty lacking. I'd recommend personally using headphones for cinematic use because the glasses are small enough to make that possible without added discomfort. Now, comfort also on glasses like these includes temperature and heat buildup, what I like to call hot face. Definitely happens here. Primarily, heat is noticeable at the temple. That's most of the time. And you feel that heat pretty soon after starting a session. So it's kind of a factor of these glasses to begin with. Some of that heat does extend to other parts of the face of the glasses, but never down the arms. And none of it, I would say, was a total deal breaker, but definitely worth noting, especially if you're using these for long sessions. Now, the Xreal One S glasses alone might not always be enough. They're awesome, but you could go one step further. Sure, you can just plug these into a laptop or a phone and they're gonna work, but that's also gonna drain the battery of the device you're connecting into, and that limits the duration of use. That's where the Neo accessory comes in. It's a little puck, as you can see, that packs a 10,000 milliamp hour battery that can charge at speeds up to a max of 60 watts, pretty fast. It's also a capable video hub with DisplayPort alt mode built in. It makes things like the Switch and the Nintendo Switch 2 totally plug and play. And it has a magnetic connector on the back that is compatible with MagSafe on iPhones. And as you can see here, my Pixel 10 has Pixel Snap support. It works with that. And a little kickstand for tabletops. Now, all of this sounds really great, but is the Xreal One S worth your money? Well, the Xreal One S costs $449, which is actually $50 cheaper than the previous Xreal One glasses. And that's pretty awesome when you consider that Xreal upgraded nearly every key spec in the process as well. That's a huge value prop. The Neo accessory costs an additional $99. But again, if you think about it as for $50 more than the Xreal One, I get a much improved headset and a magnetic battery puck and video hub. then I think it's a total slam dunk. Now, if you want to compare what the Xreal One S is capable of against the lower cost, more entry-level Air 3S and 3S Pro from RayNeo, I have a series of videos you can explore, including one where I compare the Air 3S and 3S Pro against each other, and that should prime you for making the difficult decision of which direction you want to go. I'm Jason Howell. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.